For decades, the Strait of Hormuz has been one of the most strategically important waterways on the planet. Nearly a fifth of the world's traded oil passes through this narrow corridor between Iran and the Arabian Peninsula. But today, tensions around this choke point are rising again. Iran has begun expanding its naval activity near the strait, while international forces increase surveillance across the Gulf. And as military assets accumulate in this narrow maritime corridor, the question becomes increasingly urgent. Are we witnessing routine naval maneuvering or the early stages of a much larger strategic confrontation? The Strait of Hormuz is not just another maritime passage. At its narrowest point, the shipping channel is only about 30 kilometers wide. Yet through this small corridor passes one of the largest concentrations of energy trade anywhere in the world. Oil and liquefied natural gas shipments from Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates all rely on this route. Every day, dozens of tankers pass through the strait carrying energy supplies to Europe, Asia, and beyond. Any disruption to this flow could have immediate consequences for global energy markets. That is why the security of this waterway has long been considered a strategic priority for both regional and global powers. Iran occupies the northern coastline of the strait, giving it a uniquely advantageous position. From this coastline, Iranian forces can monitor virtually all traffic moving through the shipping lanes. Over the years, Iran has developed a naval strategy specifically designed for this environment. Rather than relying solely on large warships, Iran has invested heavily in smaller, fast attack craft, coastal missile batteries, naval drones, and sea mines. These assets allow Iranian forces to operate effectively within the confined waters of the Gulf. And because of the narrow geography of the strait, even relatively small forces can exert significant influence over maritime traffic. Recent reports indicate an increase in Iranian naval activity near the strait. Patrol boats, reconnaissance vessels, and surveillance systems have been observed operating more frequently along the key shipping lanes. These deployments may serve multiple purposes. On one level, they allow Iran to demonstrate its ability to monitor and potentially control maritime traffic. On another level, they send a political signal. By increasing its military visibility in the strait, Iran reminds regional and global actors that it retains significant leverage over this critical choke point. But increased military activity in such a confined space also raises the risk of miscalculation. In response to these developments, international naval forces have also increased their presence in the region. The United States Fifth Fleet, headquartered in Bahrain, maintains continuous patrols across the Gulf. In addition, several allied nations operate surveillance aircraft, reconnaissance drones, and naval patrols designed to monitor maritime security. These forces are tasked with ensuring freedom of navigation and deterring potential threats to commercial shipping. However, the presence of multiple naval forces operating in close proximity can also create an environment of heightened tension. With so many actors in such a small area, even a minor incident can escalate quickly. Iran's maritime doctrine relies heavily on asymmetric tactics. Instead of attempting to match larger naval powers ship for ship, Iran focuses on methods designed to complicate the operating environment for larger fleets. Fast attack boats can swarm larger vessels. Coastal missile batteries can target ships moving through narrow shipping lanes. Naval mines can threaten commercial traffic even without direct engagement. Combined with drone surveillance and radar tracking, these tools allow Iran to create uncertainty for any force operating near its coastline. And uncertainty is often the most powerful weapon in maritime strategy. The implications extend far beyond the military domain. Even the perception of instability in the Strait of Hormuz can affect global markets. Insurance costs for shipping companies increase. Energy prices react to perceived supply risks, and governments around the world begin reassessing strategic reserves and supply routes. Because of this, the strait is not merely a regional issue. It is a global economic pressure point. One of the greatest risks in such environments is accidental escalation. Naval vessels operating in close proximity must constantly assess the intentions of other actors. A patrol boat approaching too closely, a drone flying near a warship, a radar lock interpreted as hostile intent. Any of these scenarios can trigger rapid defensive responses, and in narrow waters like the Strait of Hormuz, reaction times are measured in seconds rather than minutes. This makes the environment inherently volatile. For now, the Strait of Hormuz remains open and commercial traffic continues to flow. But the concentration of military assets in such a narrow corridor means that tensions must be managed carefully. History has shown that this waterway can quickly become a focal point for regional conflict. As naval forces maneuver and political pressure rises, the world will be watching closely. Because when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, even small events can have global consequences.